Economic from Ramiro Latorre Jr. As far as the government, in order to improve America's quality of life, this is my economical theory for America. I think that business tax should be eliminated. Employment tax should be eliminated. So, when it comes to businesses, zero taxation. When it comes to employees, paychecks, zero taxation. There should be a, a city tax or a locality tax, a government tax for a small taxation bracket tax that every citizen in America pays for infrastructure and first responders and utility companies like energy companies that are municipally owned by the cities or the states or the federal government. So that there should be a taxation on American citizens, a small taxation to supply for America's infrastructure or America first responders. But when it comes to healthcare and social security, America should have the right to print money free of debt. The American government should have the right to print money free of debt to pay for the best doctors, to pay for the best hospitals, the best medicines, and the best hospital equipment for universal free healthcare for all American citizens. So the way this will work is that the government can print constitutionally, the government can print money debt free to provide American citizens with universal health care. Uh, Businesses, like I said, should not be taxed, and either would they should their employees be taxed. So when people collect their paychecks, they shouldn't be taxed for it because they already worked for it, so they shouldn't be taxed for it. And it's the same for business owners. And the way to deal with inflation is because a lot of people will be more prosperous, so there'll be a flood of money into the markets as far as purchase of commodities. So in order to keep inflation at a check, the government has to set a law that goods that are sold in the market can't has to be set at a limit as far as pricing goes. So it can't be affected by inflation. So the commodities have to be set at normal prices to not be affected by inflation. So the Federal Reserve will still exist. The free banking uh, will still exist as far as free markets, and the businesses will not get taxed. The businesses throughout the country shouldn't be taxed. Neither should their employees be taxed. But as citizens of this country, we should pay a tax. We are obligated to pay a tax for infrastructure, meaning our streets, our highways, our bridges, and our military defense. So citizens should pay some taxation, not out of their paychecks or out of their businesses as business owners or employees, but as a loyal citizen to this country, we should be obliged to maintain our infrastructure. Uh, so we should pay the government taxation for the infrastructure of America and for the first responders and municipality services that are provided by the government, the utility services that are provided by the government, or that the utility services can be made in the private sector. So the energy companies that can be kept in the private sector. But as far as cops and emergency firemen, that should be under the preview of the government. So we should, as citizens, have the right to maintain our infrastructure and our first responders. Uh, so there be some taxation to pay for that, for those particular purposes, and to maintain our defense, as far as our national defense capabilities. But the health industry, the government should have the constitutional right to print money free of debt to supply the best hospitals, the best doctors, the best medicines. So the government can print the money without having to sell debt obligations as far as treasury bills or security bills to the Federal Reserve. That should be that should be eliminated. That the Treasury Department of America should have the right to print debt-free currency, meaning our regular currency, but debt-free when it comes to healthcare. Universal free healthcare for everybody. So I think by implementing these procedures, America will be more prosperous because there will be a boom in commerce with companies. Employees will be earning more. As far as Social Security and healthcare, universal healthcare and Social Security for retirees and people with disabilities, the government, like I said, should have the constitutional right to print debt-free money to pay for those services for free, meaning the government doesn't have to pay a penny of debt to the Federal Reserve or sell debt bonds or security bonds. That should be eliminated. When it comes to Americans, they should have the right to have the best healthcare system provided to them for free. The best, and the government should have the ability to provide those services debt free. So I think that if the government phases in these economical strategies, and remember that there'll be a lot of people that are prosperous. Employees will keep more money. They will make more money. Uh, uh, Business owners will keep the money they earn as a business without having to pay taxation. The same for their employees. So there will be a lot of new jobs, a lot of people with good paying jobs, with security, Social Security when they retire, with universal health care as citizens of this country. And and to ensure that we don't, because there'll be a flood of money in the markets. There will be a lot of money rising the prices of commodities up because people will be making more money and earning more money at their jobs and their businesses. But that's why government has to install a artificial low price, not low prices, but sustain equilibrium the prices of commodities that are sold in the markets. So the inflation doesn't affect it. And runaway inflation won't run rampant. So people can keep more money, buy goods at an affordable price, and have access to universal health care. And when they retire, they can ensure that they have their retirements paid by Social Security. So the 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 way it will work is that to avoid runaway inflation, because a lot of people will be flooding the markets with money that they don't have to give over to Uncle Sam, and and so the way the government the way the government will make derivatives to pay their budgets is, like I said, the citizens will pay a certain tax, government tax, for infrastructure, for first responders, and for the military uh, defense. But as far as business tax and employee tax, is free. No taxation. And as far as the government printing money debt free to supply and provide universal free health care to all American citizens, that the government should have the constitutional right to supply free universal health care to all American citizens. So they can print money debt free, the government, when it comes to paying for health care. And so they can pay for the best doctors, the best hospitals, the best pharmaceutical companies, the best universal health care for all Americans. So that's what I think will spawn a new era of prosperity in America. So the markets will be happy because the banks are making money without having to be taxed. With corporations and businesses, they will make windfall profits because they don't got to get taxed. The same for employees; they don't got to get taxed. But as citizens, we should pay taxation, not high taxation, just reasonable taxation to maintain our highways, our streets, our roads, avenues, infrastructures, our and to 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 pay for our national defense. But as far as to keep the prices of sold goods in the markets, free markets, to keep them from experiencing runaway inflation because of the extra money flooding the markets, to keep that at a low, the government has to set a ceiling for prices, so prices cannot be affected by inflation. So I think I think people will be more prosperous. They can live a better life, a quality of life, and retirees and people who have access to health care. And so the government needs to be alleviated when it comes to supplying certain social uh, safety nets, which is universal health care. Constitutionally, they should be allowed to provide every American with free and universal health care. The same for the retirees and people with disability with Social Security. But as far as so the government can print money just to provide that debt free. So that means the government doesn't have to pay any foreign debt by, because right now the government uses the Treasury Department to print IOUs, if you will, security bonds, Treasury bills, and then they sell it in the open markets for interest, and they get gouged with interest. The government does when it pays for health care and Social Security. So the government has runaway debt that they don't know how to tax us because the free markets are gouging the government for interest, and the government is indebted because of health care and Social Security. So for that reason, to eliminate the government's burden, the government should have the constitutional right to print currency to pay for universal health care and retirees and people with disabilities. Debt free. The government doesn't have to worry about paying the debt for that currency. That's in it for that purpose of supplying all Americans with universal health care, the best health care in the world. And to ensure that when people work and they get eldered, they got the right to retire. They got the right to receive Social Security. So commerce will experience a boom as far as capitalism, free capitalism. So commerce will experience a stimulated economy because it's free capitalism. As far as businesses not having to be taxed and employees not having to be taxed. But as a society, as citizens of this country, we still had to pay for our infrastructure. Our highways, our roads, our bridges. So we should pay some tax for that. and we still need a military to defend us in times of peril. We need a military, and we need first responders, police officers, departments, and fire departments. So yeah, Americans should pay some tax for that. But as far as all that money that'll be flooding into to the banks and commerce, because businesses are not taxed and employees are not taxed, so they retain more money, the money they earned, tax free, and so they 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 will spawn off commerce. Like in other words, the economy will boom. People from all around the world will come to America to start businesses. People from all around the world would like to immigrate to work in America. So the Federal Reserve will make a lot of profit. They will expand capitalism. But when it comes to health care and Social Security, it shouldn't be involved with the selling of security bonds, debt obligations. In other words, that the government should have the right, constitutional right, to separate debt free, to print money. The government should have the right to print money debt free for universal health care for the American citizens. And so and Social Security retirees and people with disabilities. So the government can afford these social programs debt free, constitutionally debt free. Constitutionally debt free. The government should be able to provide these programs constitutionally debt free. Now, like I said, for businesses, they can business owners can profit without being taxed. Their employees can earn a living without being taxed or garnished by employee tax or business tax. But as citizens, we should pay some portion of taxation, not a high portion, a reasonable portion of taxation for the government to maintain our infrastructure, our crumbling infrastructures at that. And taxation to support our first responders. Other than that, there shouldn't be no other tax. And as far as everybody living a more prosperous life, a more healthier life, the to prevent runaway inflation on the store shelves, because that's what happens if you got too much money flooded into the markets. The prices of everything goes up. So in order to avoid that, the prices going up, they should be artificially set a debt ceiling of how much pricing can go. It can't go up beyond a reasonable level. So artificially, the government can control inflation. Artificially, the government can set inflationary. They have the right to set a reasonable ceiling for sold commodities on the open market when it comes to products on the shelves, or consumptionary products. It should. That's how you keep it from experiencing runaway inflation. Because if there's too much free money in the markets, what will happen is that there's too much money chasing goods. So in order to keep the prices from not skyrocketing, you have to set the commodities at a reasonable level. At a reasonable level. So people can consume at an affordable price, and they will be able to keep more of their money for retirements, for expanding their houses, for remodeling their houses, for improving their neighborhoods, for putting their kids through college. Businesses will profiteer because they don't have to now be gouged for business tax. Employees can keep the money they earn 100% without having to be paying employment tax as far as earnings go. Now, as citizens, we still obligated, like I said, to pay a reasonable amount of not, not a reasonable small amount of taxation for our infrastructure and for our first responders. And so the like I said, constitutionally, the government should have the right to print money debt free to supply their citizens with universal health care, the best doctors, best medicines, best hospitals. And that the government can print constitutionally that money up debt free for those universal health care and for Social Security retirees, especially retirees, the people that worked all their lives. They got a right to enjoy the last years of their lives without having to be enslaved, meaning forced to work. You know, today, people want to raise the debt ceiling when it comes to retirees. They want the people are already 62 years old. They worked all their lives. Their bodies are worn down from working all their lives, and now the government wants them because we owe 31 trillion because the way the tax brackets are set up is not set up the right way. So now they want to force people that are 62 years old to work into their 65. And where we're going, they're going to have to work into the day they die. So that's not right. That's not right. People should retire and enjoy their golden years. You know? Also, people with disability that can't work because of physical or mental disabilities, they have the right to enjoy life. So when it comes to universal health care, free and universal health care for all citizens of this country, the government should have the constitutional right to print money debt free for those purposes. And see, this is the wealth of nations. This is the theory of morality. This is Ramiro version of economics.